Today is October 22nd, and I am making the featured recipe from the Fannie Farmer kitchen cabinet, drop cookies. What are drop cookies? Well, from looking at the recipe, they're oatmeal cookies. Presumably, they are called drop cookies because they are, as the instructions say, dropped from a spoon rather than rolled out and cut. As usual, I have never made this recipe before, and I have no idea how it's going to turn out. So let's get started. To make drop cookies, you will need butter, lard, sugar, an egg, milk, rolled oats, raisins, nut meats, flour, salt, soda, cinnamon, cloves, allspice. We start by creaming butter and lard. Yes, we are making cookies with lard. Most cookies these days are made entirely with butter, but this is a mix of butter and lard. You can buy it, but for this recipe, I chose to render my own out of pork fat, and I made a little video for my patrons about that process. If the idea of lard is making you squeamish for whatever reason, you can substitute vegetable shortening. Then add sugar, an egg, well beaten as usual, milk, rolled oats, raisins, seeded and cut into pieces, and chopped nut meats. I'm using walnuts, which I toasted. We're going to set this aside for a moment. Mix flour, salt, baking soda, cinnamon, cloves, allspice, and sift into the first mixture. That looks like cookie dough. I'll start with the easy part. The last instruction in the recipe is drop from tip of spoon on buttered sheet and bake. I'm not so much following Fannie's instructions with the buttered sheet. I'm using a silicone mat. 1 dozen cookies ready to go in the oven. Fannie Farmer has left us no clue about what temperature to bake the cookies at or for how long, because she assumed we knew already. And we do. Most cookies of this type bake at 350 for anywhere between 8 and 12 minutes. So that's where I'm going to start. Fannie Farmer specifically says that the raisins should be seeded. The common grape at this time was the Muscat of Alexandria, which was apparently a very delicious raisin, but it came with seeds in it. You could buy raisins that had been seeded mechanically, but it did mean that the raisin was sort of torn open and they got very sticky. More likely, you would buy the raisins with the seeds and cut them up and take the seeds out yourself. Thank goodness we don't have to do that today. And it is entirely likely that Fannie Farmer was using sun-made raisins, just like I am. I'm going to leave these to cool, and then we'll try them. Drop cookies. Let's see how they taste. That's really good. That is a fine oatmeal cookie. I really like the blend of spices, appropriate for October. They're basically pumpkin spice. I'm not getting a lot of the walnuts. I think maybe if I made this again, I would increase the amount of the walnuts and the raisin. Also, I might toast the oats before I put them in. I was kind of concerned it was going to give breakfast bar vibes, but it's actually a fairly light, soft cookie. I was also a little concerned that the lard was going to give it kind of a slight porky flavor, but I guess I rendered it well enough, and it's just a neutral fat, like the butter. Would I make these again? Yeah, sure. Uh, they're really nice autumn cookies. I could definitely see enjoying these with a cup of hot cocoa or some spiced tea. I am not usually a big fan of oatmeal cookies unless they have chocolate in them. And there is not a scrap of chocolate to be found here, and I think they are quite delicious. Would I necessarily make them with the lard again? I mean, I've got lard now, but I think I might want to see how it is in an all butter variation or a butter shortening variation. And, if the lard wins, it wins. And there you have it. Drop cookies. Lovely for an October day. Enjoy. Fannie Farmer specifies it. Totally should have used a bigger bowl.